Hey y'all, what's going on? This is Paul, your hip hop relationship and recovery coach, bringing to you another Kick Your Butt Out episode. As usual, before I get off into what I want to talk about today, I want to say what I always say, and I strongly encourage you to get this in here so that you can incorporate this into your life. And that is, if you're looking for a butt, it's going to always be easy to find one. And that, my friends, is a promise. All right. As you can see, I'm kind of positioned a little different in my office. It's under construction right now. I'm getting prepared to kind of expand from a podcast standpoint with bringing in guests. So I got some equipment behind me that I'm installing. A few more tweaks and it'll be ready to go. So I'm looking forward to being able to have guests in here, being able to spread out a little bit more some of the things that we're going to be talking about as it relates to Kick Your Butt Out. And again, just do what we can to reach as many people as we possibly can and give them what God has given us to give. And so, again, thank you all for supporting this podcast. Please share it. Ask other people to tune in, because some of these topics and subjects that we talk about, I'm sure that in some way we can all relate to them. All right. Last week, one of the things that I talked about, one of the statements that I made, I want to reiterate that statement because it's really important that we understand this. It's really important that we incorporate this into our lives so that our lives can change. They talk about it in recovery that if nothing changes, nothing changes. So we have to change if we won't change. All right. The statement that I made last week, one of them that I want to just kind of reiterate is, they say it's okay to not be okay. And that is true. Listen, people, allow yourself to be human. And if you're not okay, allow yourself to not be okay. But it's not okay to stay not okay. And that's the problem that I have, because too many of us are okay with not being okay. Okay with staying not okay. And the other thing is too many of us are leaving people not okay. All right. So let me talk about what I want to talk about today. One of my earlier episodes of Kick Your Butt Out, I kind of alluded to a story. It's a metaphorical story, right? Not a true story, it's metaphorical. However, this story, it has so much validity to it as it relates to our lives, as it relates to what we do, as it relates to why we still are where we are. And the story was a story about two men and a dog. And I'll tell you all the story in a minute, but I want to mention the title of today's episode of Kick Your Butt Out, and that is, But You Won't Get Up. Again, but you won't get up. So here's the story about the two men and the dog. It was one man that he went on this daily walk every day. And every day he walked past this house, this one particular house that he walked past, it would always be a man sitting on the porch in a rocking chair and a dog laying right next to him on the porch, and that dog would always be crying, always whining. It's always crying, right? So the guy got curious as to why every day he walked past this house and this dog was sitting there crying. So he said, I'm going to stop. I'm going to introduce myself to the guy, and I'm going to ask him, why is that dog crying every single day when I come past here? And so the next day, like he said, he came, he stopped. Hey, how you doing, sir? My name is such and such. the guy introduced himself to the man, and he asked the man, he said, "Sir, if I'm not being intrusive, I notice that every day when I come past here, the dog is always sitting on the porch crying." And he said, "Why is that?" The guy replied, "Well, it's because he's sitting on the nail." And the guy said, "Sitting on the nail?" He said, "Well, why won't he get up?" He said, "For two reasons. Because it's comfortable, number one, and he hasn't had enough pain." And that's a whole lot like us. Let me dissect this story a little bit before I, as I go off into some of the things some of the points that I want to talk about today. First of all, the guy said he walked by there daily and the dog was sitting in that same place. Well, if you think about this, that man and that dog had to go in the house at some point of the day. So that dog, just like that man got out of that chair, the dog had to get up off of the nail and go into the house. Here's the problem. The dog came back out of the house every day and sat in that same spot on that same nail. And the Bible talks about, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, as a dog returns to his vomit, so a fool returns to his foolishness. And many times in our lives, right, whoever you believe in, now I believe in God, you all know and understand that about me. God will deliver us something or get us off something or will heal us from something, will free us from something, will deliver us from something. And what we'll do is, because we are comfortable, right, with the dysfunction, because we're comfortable with the pain, because we're comfortable in being in messy places and too scared to go out and venture into some of these new places that's not painful, we'll go and sit right back in the same spot on the same thing that has been harming us all along. I've done it many years. I've done that many years, especially when it related to when I was suffering from substance use disorder or drug addiction, as you all may call it. I remember those times, I did what they call relapse, right? I go back, and I go back. And I didn't go back because I wanted to or liked the lifestyle. I hated that. But it was comfortable. It was what I knew, as people say. That's all I know. It was what I knew, because I had some fears about venturing off into something else, because I didn't know any other world, right? Although I've had visions of it, although I've had glimpses of it, excuse me, I was so used to that one that was the easy go-to when things weren't going right. And many of us, unfortunately, we continue to do that today, even with relationships. And we talk about, and I'm gonna call it a relationship nail, right? God will get us out of some of these relationships only for us to go find ourselves right back in these relationships that's toxic, that's not helping us, that's harming us, that's hurting us, that's doing all of these things that's against peace and healing and wholeness, yet we'll go back to them and stay in them. It reminds me of, it was a clip from one of, what's this guy's name? Cat Williams. I don't know why it took me so long, but anyway, it was a clip from one of his stand-ups. And he talked about how some of these women were complaining about these bum ANs. I call them band, because that's what they call it, bum ANs or BANs that these women call men. They was complaining about, always having all of these bums in their lives. And one of the things that he said was, he said, if you're continuing to attract these type of men, what does that say about you? And so that's some of the things that we keep going back to, these relationship nails, and we blaming the other person because they showing up the way that they are. And we always, what's wrong with them? The reality of it is we need to be trying to figure out what's wrong with us again, but you won't get up. You go right back to that same place and sit on that same nail and wonder why your life is the way it is, but you won't get up. I know someone personally, and this is one of the reasons why this was inspired. And I'm not here to talk about anybody because, but for the grace of God, there go I. I've lived all of this stuff I'm talking about for many years as well. So I'm not saying big me, little you, you messy, and I'm not saying any of that because I've been in these places in many areas and instances and years of my life. So I'm just like y'all, what did Biggie say? I'm not only a client, I'm the player president. There you go. All right. So someone that I know who's near and dear to my heart, we got the opportunity to talk a few weeks ago, and I hadn't heard from this person in a while. We video chatted, right? And when I saw the person 100% doesn't look like themselves at all. They have a term that they out of your body. It's that far from who he really is, right? And so I come to find out, part of the reason why he's the way he is or in the situation that he's in is because he's sitting on the nail. He's getting up every day willfully, right? He's getting up every single day willfully and going and sitting on that relationship nail. And then he'll cry and complain about how that relationship or those relationships are hurting and harming him. But he won't get up. And many of you out there are going through the exact same thing. One of Eric Thomas's E.T.'s motivational clips, he says, get up. Compete. I need effort. Get up. Put in some effort to get up. Put in some effort to compete. Put in some effort to stay off of it when you get up. Anyway, so I'm going to go to the next one. The Bible teaches us that God says that I'll make you the lender and not the borrower. And so many of us are continuing to be borrowers and wonder why we don't have anything. Here's the reason why. It's because when we're delivered, when we get out of all of this financial debt and all of these financial binds, just like that dog went every day to sit on that nail, we'll go and sit right back on that financial nail. We'll go sit right back on that financial nail and wonder why we always in debt. Wonder why somebody said it like this: we are meant to be in a place where our money works for us, not us working for our money. Too many people, too many of us are going through life, having to work for our money. We don't even get to enjoy the fruits of our labor because we have to work for our money due to the fact that we continuously go and sit on a financial nail. But you won't get up. You want to be out of debt, but you won't get up. You won't learn how to spend wisely and correctly. Again, this is the area that I'm working on right now. That's why I know that this is true. I'm working on this right now. being able to not get back on the financial nail. And I just want to be able to help some of you all as well. We have to get up. We have to compete. We have to put in the a maximum effort if we want change to happen in our lives for the better. They have a cliche in recovery, or a statement that says, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And that's the same thing when it comes to our health. Any area, you take the pick. You pick it. Whichever area of your health that you feel like you're sitting on a nail, there's an opportunity to get up, and you have to get up. And it's just that simple. Here's one of the things that T.D. Jakes said, Bishop T.D. Jakes. I was listening to a clip of his, interview of his a few weeks ago, and he said, we live in the most informational and intelligent time in the history of mankind. What he was saying was, this generation is the smartest. He said, but the problem is we don't use the smarts and intelligence and wisdom, and we don't. We don't. We continue to get in all of these because these things are comfortable, and we hadn't had enough pain. We continue to be like that dog returning to the vomit, or the fool returning to his foolishness. Excuse me. I'm going to say it like this. We're going backwards instead of forwards. And think about this, people. If you're walking backwards, it's inevitable that you are going to walk into something and hurt yourself, right? If you're walking backwards, it's inevitable, right? It's inevitable that we are going to walk into something and hurt ourselves. The other thing is, think about this. Here's an analogy somebody had given me before as well. So if you're driving your car, and 100% of your focus is on the rearview mirror, 100% of your focus is on the rearview mirror, you're going to crash. You're going to crash. And that's what happens with us. We're looking in this little mirror instead of looking at the bigger picture. And that's what we need to start doing. We need to start to understand that there's a bigger picture. There's a bigger picture than this nail. When you walk out, again, this is metaphorically or symbolically. When you walk out of your house, don't walk to the nail. Walk off the porch and walk off into a world of possibilities, a world of extraordinary potential, a world of greatness, a world that can be changed if you do what you're supposed to be doing. If we do what we're supposed to be doing, we won't have to worry about this word but. If we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, then the world would change for the better. Our world, our little world that we're in, right? Whatever little world that you're in, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing in that world, in that environment, in that calling, in that mission, or whatever you want to call it, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing from an extraordinary standpoint, from a greatness standpoint, things going to change. It's going to change for the better. It's impossible for it to not happen. That's what I'm trying to say. It is impossible for it to not happen. So I'm saying we have to stop being like that dog. We have to stop crying. We have to get up. We have to get up. We have to kick our butt out and get up off of that nail, never get back on it, and get off of that porch and go and see what life can possibly be for each and every one of us. And, right, like I said, as we look at the bigger picture, right? As we look at the bigger picture, we'll find that it's not always about us. The bigger picture has a whole lot of other people in it that needs us to be who we are as well. So man, woman, whoever is listening to this podcast, whoever is listening to this episode of Kick Your Butt Out, get up. Get up. Compete. Put in some extraordinary effort to be who you was created to be. And don't be the dog. Stop being the dog. Stop being the fool. Use the wisdom and the information and the knowledge and the understanding that we have been given in this generation. Use it wisely so somebody else could get some help. Just like this podcast, y'all, and then I'll end it. Just like this podcast. This podcast was inspired to help somebody. It wasn't inspired for me to just be doing a podcast, just to be doing a podcast because millions of other people are doing a podcast. I'm watching us willfully. Right, watch this. I'm watching us willfully as the people of God live beneath our potential. Willingly, daily, hourly, minutely, secondly, we willingly every single day living beneath our potential. And we wonder why we crying, just like that dog. So lastly, I'm going to say it again, but you won't get up. Get up. Compete. Put in some effort to be who God has predestined and created you to be. This is Paul, your hip-hop relationship and recovery coach. And before I go, I want to say what I always say. I love you all so much. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Be well. Do the next right thing, which is get off of that nail. God bless you all, and I'll see y'all on the next episode of Kick Your Butt Out. And remember, if you're looking for a butt, it's going to always be easy to find one. It's just that simple. Peace to y'all, everybody.